I'll just have a cup of coffee, then I'll go. I brought the money like the lawyer said to do. It won't replace all the heartaches I've caused you. It won't take the place of loving you, I know. I'll just have a cup of coffee, then I'll go.
Good morning and welcome to Colombia. I can spit that out. And welcome back to Coffee Time Live. Today we got water, but it's ice water. So, happy to report the weather seems to have gone back to normal. And normal, that means raining in the afternoon or in the evening, and then nice in the morning and throughout the day. We're kind of back there. Hope it stays like that. It just, you're beginning to wonder if it's, something new going on here. But we got that. Also been 75, 78 degrees. Pretty nice, all in all. And I want to mention, before I even went on the air, when I sat down to start programming little things in here for today, I got contributions. Jennifer made a contribution. Thank you very much. And we've got Bayan Rodriguez from Orlando. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Juka, once again, before we even start, contribution for me, and then he also sent one for Alejandra, which she greatly appreciates, and she's always saying, make sure you say thank you. Well, I do, and thank you for her. Rob, flying to Medellin in a few hours. Interesting. I'm thinking you like that nightlife, but you are going to take that flight to Bucaramanga sometime soon, right? And Yuka, greetings, glad you're on. Only in America 007. Can you tell me what the requirements going to Colombia? I'm thinking going in the next few weeks. Thanks. We'll talk about, ask me when we get to the Q&A part. U.S. citizen, fully vaccinated. Then what you really need is a passport. Coleman, how you doing? Clearwater, Florida. HD chillin'. Thank you. I appreciate it. Okay, and Easter Sunday, right? When you get old and crotchety and you're alone, it's just another day. But then again, most of my life, it was just another day. So, if you're into the Easter Bunny, I hope he brought you some nice eggs. If you're into the religious thing, I hope you appreciate what happened. And if you're into Coffee Time Live, here we are. All right. So I got some news this week. But first of all, what's new for me? Finally, I did a video on these. Got some nice messages, actually, on this. Loving these so much. But I also got buy one, get one free. And I didn't take any time. I just reached over and grabbed another pair that kind of look the same. But they're actually different. They've got this metal thing on here. I have no idea what it's about, but they're lighter, noticeably lighter. They're exactly the same, except these don't have the transition to the sunglass thing, but they're free. But everything else is there. Of course, they got the little spready things. And I won't ever get metal frames again. I've had them, and I talk about the titanium ones that I had. But the metal things have these little nose pads that come off. And these plastic ones, I guess these aren't actually plastic, but they're not metal. They're some kind of, I forget what they are. But they don't have that. And that nose thing always used to bother me. There was issues with it. The cover would come off, and anyway, we're not here for that. I want to give you a heads up before we get to the actual news about Colombia. I've discovered that YouTube is actively blocking this channel, and it has for the past 2 months. And it's actually deleting subscribers. Not new. This isn't new to me. It's happening all over YouTube. It's just a matter of when they get around to you. They demonetized me a year ago. So if you're having trouble, always remember that you can go to grandcolumbia.live, and no matter what I'm streaming on, you can find me there. I'm probably going to, I may need to go to the Odyssey that I talked about a week or two ago, odyssey.com, before some of these issues with my software is resolved. So we may lose some of the features, that we currently have, such as like this. Is anyone hearing a slight echo? Yes, echo. Why would it be echoing? Well, that's troublesome. There should be no reason for any kind of echo. Did that make any difference? Okay, I don't know what to say. The echo is not bad, seems only slight. Okay, well, we're going to have to plow ahead because I have no idea what that is. So, a bit bright. Lauren, you won't get another donation from me as long as you're on Gulag YouTube, just saying. Well, I'm only on it for you guys because as much as I hate, and many of you are not fond of the Google company, there are features that they have that others have not yet developed. And all the other platforms out there are issues. Why do you think all the people that have millions of followers are still on YouTube, even though they get demonetized, run into the same thing? It's because there's things about YouTube, as much as you want to hate them, they're the longest doing this, and they have the fewest issues if you're on this end of it. And it's very frustrating. And it happens with YouTube sometimes too. You've seen it where you're trying to do something and it just kind of crashes all around you because of the provider. Well, these other platforms that are out there, either they're trying to charge, like Rumble. They've now gone to, if you want to live stream, you have to pay them. It wasn't like that, but they sucked. They were really bad on this side. They're fine on the consumer side, but I tried them for a while and it was horrible and I stopped doing it. Now I went back and I look and now they're charging to be horrible. Odyssey actually works pretty good. The only problem with Odyssey is some of the things that I use don't integrate with, they're kind of their own program. And so integrate, and I can use OBS software for the basic live streaming, but there's certain features that I can't do. So that's why I hang in there with YouTube as much as I hate them. I'm certainly not getting any payment out of them. They demonetize me. But it's the only way to reach you and be able to use certain things that a lot of people like. So it's for you guys, not for me. If I were just recording this for myself, I wouldn't be on YouTube. So there's that. But let's get to some actual Colombian news. That might be good, right? No, that's not true. It's not about laziness and state of denial. That's not it. It's like the sound is bouncing off the wall. Interesting. Well, it'll be something for me to chase after. Okay. All right. As you know, or maybe you don't know, but Holy Week is like a big thing in Colombia. And I took a quick look at some information about it, and one that stood out is in Armenia, and as a matter of fact, in most of Quindío, the hotel fill rate is 90% and above. In other words, it's like this week is impossible to find a room or come close to it. So that's a good thing. It's good that because this is a big tourist state, Quindío, and so that's a real positive. What else we got? Well, this was kind of interesting. This happened just up the road as you go from Calarca up to the first tunnel of La Linea. You have these road checks every so often, usually looking for like Colombia's Most Wanted. The police will have a list, and they'll get on a bus, and they'll check IDs and things, and it just takes a few minutes. They're always very polite. Well, they caught a guy on the bus. He had I forget the exact number. I think it was 2,056 little baby sea turtles that he had gotten from the coast illegally. They're protected. Put them in a box, and he was hauling them up to, I'm guessing, Bogota, so they could sell for pets. I'm not sure. I just thought it just seemed kind of silly that he's hauling 2,000 turtles in a box, riding a bus. Anyway. People are back to work tomorrow. Does Semana Santa and yeah, tomorrow is not a holiday. Tomorrow is a regular day. Let's see. That's all I have to say about the smuggling turtles. I don't know if it's a lucrative position. Okay. Another thing in the news, it's become a weekly thing. Another motorcycle, it's called here. Another motorcycle death. Every single week, there's a traffic accident, and the only one who ever dies is the guy on the motorcycle. Nobody dies in car accidents. Motorcycles drop them like flies. Keep that in mind, because I have people who come here and say, well, I think I'll just get a cheap motorcycle to drive around town. Yeah, if you got a death wish, go for it. It's crazy. I don't want to drive a car around town. You know, I'll drive it out of town, but not in town. It's crazy. It's just not worth the stress, the aggravation, the constant worry. It's just the roads were built before people were really using. Not many people used to use cars. They used public transportation. Well, as the economy got better, more people bought cars, more and more and more and more have cars now. And it's been growing exponentially, and the roads are getting tight. That's why there's traffic everywhere in Colombia. The roads weren't designed for the wealth that has come into the economy. Now, I know everybody's saying, oh, they're so poor. Colombians will say, oh, it's miserable. You can't make any money here. Yeah, but people in the U.S. say the same thing. The point is, the economy has drastically improved over the last decade, 2 decades. And along with that came automobile ownership, roads clogged up. If you want to, what do we got? Oh, let me get that slight echo comment off. Sorry about that. It's bad enough in a car. And a motorcycle, you're really rolling the dice. Other news, I mentioned last week about the mayor coming up with some money to build a bypass to help with that. Well, it was just announced that in all of Quindío, I think it might have been motivated by the massive amount of people coming to visit Quindío this holiday season, but I can't be sure. But there was 4 billion pesos that was allotted to some of the outlying roads in Quindío. Well, they just announced yesterday, I believe, Friday or yesterday, that they've added another 10 billion to that to help improve roads. As you know, the main roads in Colombia are awesome, but when you get to some of the outlying country roads, it's pretty damn bad. And so they're putting a lot of money into it. Just like the last couple of years, they put a lot of money into internet infrastructure, and you're finding in some of these way out of the way places, they're sitting there with broadband, which is, kind of cool. So there's that. Let me. Good morning to Miami. Check the YouTube. My itinerant lawyer, Colombian lawyer, does his best. Ones in Cadillo are just beautiful. You can tell Alejandra that I'm really impressed with her approach to entrepreneurship. That's why she's on my list. Her approach, honestly, it's a matter of survival. She's a real go-getter. She's the Energizer Bunny. She never quits. She never gives up. She's very optimistic, but it's life. You get knocked down and you get up again, and you get knocked down and you get up again. And she goes through that. She finds a way. And so she's really latched on to certain things that'll pull her through. And she's going to hit one that will really build. I mean, you've all heard this, and I did a research paper on this a long time ago and found it to be true, that basically every millionaire, now they're a dime a dozen, but every millionaire had failures and bankruptcies before they ever got to that point. Well, she's that kind of person. It's like you're not gonna keep her down. And so I really can't help her very much. When I hear of something, I send it her way. But when you guys help, you're really doing something good, and particularly for a nice person. Anyway, let's talk a little bit about politics. Then I'll get back to this. Did a quick look. I'm trying to not get too deep into the politics here. I have this problem, and some of you know this, that when I start digging into a topic, that statement, "go down the rabbit hole," was created for me. I can get lost down there, and I just keep going and going, and one thing goes to another. And I'm trying to stay away from that right now because I have other priorities and other responsibilities. So I'm kind of standing kind of at arm's length. But I thought I would tell you because there's some interest from some of you about what's going on. And personally, I think we got some good news. There's the latest poll that was, I believe it came out this morning, 17th. I think it was this morning, but I won't swear to it. But the trend for, you got Gutierrez, who's kind of a moderate, somewhat conservative guy. He's certainly not right-wing. And then you've got Petro, who's a murderer and a criminal and a socialist. All factual. I can prove everything I just said. Well, Petro, out of frustration and a lot of propaganda, was actually leading the pack for some period of time. You've got people now that have dropped out of the race, and they're throwing their votes, if they can do that, to other people. Well, he was slightly either tied or slightly leading. And what you have right now, as of this last poll, is you got 55% of voters are going to vote for Fico Gutierrez. And you've got a little over 40% that are going to vote for Petro. Well, that's how Petro lost last time around. So that's good news. And so I'm wondering why this shift. And so I start looking to see, all right, what other things have happened recently. I didn't go far, but is there anything that stands out that would cause this pretty good shift in how people are seeing this? And lo and behold, okay, number one, Petro. Well, he was in Cuba, where he regularly goes, and it's where he gets a lot of his political backing. That's been hidden, something they don't talk about, but he was there, and they found out he has cancer. So he came back to Colombia to get a second confirmation, and they confirmed, and then he went back to Cuba to have an operation. The fact that he not only has ties there, but when he decides to get an operation, he decides to not go to one of the best healthcare countries in the world, and instead go to Cuba, where his buddies lie. It's not sitting well with a lot of people. Okay, but that's not all. Wait, there's more. You got his brother, who's been, kind of like Hunter and Joe. They've been like this throughout. His brother was found continuously visiting this guy in prison, who's in prison for corruption, for embezzling a lot of taxpayers' money. He's a politician, but he's this kind of politician that's like kryptonite. But you've got these, they were supposedly covert, somewhat secretive meetings that were found out. So that didn't go over very well. In other words, we're not cutting ties with these corrupt, embezzling people that stole from, the people of the country. So that didn't go over well. Yeah, it did not paint a very good picture, and the polls dramatically shifted in a very short period of time. I'm happy to see it. There's nothing new about this. I mean, he's a criminal. He's a murderer. What do you expect? What do you expect? So, but I'm glad people are seeing the writing on the wall and reacting accordingly, or at least the way I feel about it. All right, so we got that. Let me go back over some. Whoa, this thing has just been going crazy here. Awesome, more motos, yeah. Drive twice while in Colombia. Just take a taxi. You'll save yourself the stress of the lines on the road. It's so easy to take a taxi or even a bus. If you know the bus between cities, the buses are awesome. I mean, it's a good way to travel. And, once you're there, take taxis. When I did the glasses video, you saw me at the beginning of the video. I walk out, there's my car sitting there, ready to go, but I walk out and get in a taxi. Why would I take the car? It cost me $1.25 one way, $1.25 back, and no hassle. When I got there, I didn't have to drive around the block for 20 minutes trying to find some place to park, which is another huge problem. You can drive to where you're going, but there's a lot of places, most places, there's no place to park. So, all right. Andromeda, good to see you. Can't see you, but Thank you. I appreciate it. It's her tattoos that give her strength. Good morning, Lorna. Judy, hello. How you doing? What's her latest project? A few things. She's doing a few things for me with people that are visiting. I'm giving them over to her so that she can help them out, guide. She's a hiking fanatic. She knows, she has learned some of the good places if you have the energy to try to keep up with her, to take people that few people have ever gone, a couple waterfalls, things like that. But her main project right now is she's been getting a lot of people to learn Spanish from her. And from all the feedback I keep getting, she's kind of a tyrant, but they say she's an excellent teacher. And she's really been getting into it. She's been designing her own workbooks to go along with her lessons. And whenever she's not out actively doing something for pay, she's at home working, designing these workbooks. And I looked through her first one. It was, it's pretty damn good. Very impressive. So that's her latest project. What about Ingrid Betancourt? History. I like her discourse. Yeah, but it's not going to happen. Oh, I want to thank somebody. I don't remember who made this recommendation. Trying to get it so I get the reflection off it. I downloaded it to my Kindle and started on it. It's pretty interesting. Some viewers may not realize how cheap taxis are in Colombia. Yeah, and I mentioned before that this year, every year in January, they have a meeting with the government to see if they're going to increase the rates. And this year, and every year they increase the rates, of course. Well, this year they decided as a group that people are struggling enough. And even though they're getting hit with inflational pressures, they opted to keep the rates exactly where they are. In my view, it was kind of a heroic gesture. It maybe not even all that fair, to them, but that's what they did. And if I take a taxi, well, Armenia is long and skinny, and well, maybe it's got a bit of a fat bottom, like my ex. So, yeah, I can talk. If you take a taxi from one side to the other, depending on where it is, it'll be $1.25 to maybe $2.50. If you go from top to bottom, it's going to be maybe about, that's in dollars. Let me get back on pesos. I get confused I don't know dollars very much anymore. About 10,000 pesos will take you from pretty much in the north to pretty much down in the south, in the lower part of the south. I think the most I've ever seen in a taxi going like from one end down to is maybe 12,000 pesos. So 12,000 pesos, that's what, $3 and something, I believe. So, I mean, taxis are pretty cheap. About the new supermarket in Colima, La Montaña. The one down the road, the new Ara. There's a couple new ones. You've got the new one down the road. I'm actually going to do a video next week. This week got thrown off. I even mentioned it in video last week, but for some reason it didn't register, and I had a number of things planned. Actually, it was meetings on this Finca project I'm working on that I actually wanted to officially announce today. Although I have one set up for you, so if you're interested, I got one set up. But I wanted to have a few options, and I had meetings set up, except they canceled the meetings because they got too busy. Remember I said the occupancy rates like over 90%. And so they got busy, and I'm figuring out, why is everybody canceling on? Well, that's why. It really messed up my schedule. So I ended up, out of frustration, just doing some things here. I actually played my guitar quite a bit this week. It gets neglected. Actually, not that one, the other one. So, the supermarket that's new down the street, I want to do a video on. I think I can do it next week. And there's another one. My favorite one is the Supermercado Lorales, which is near the Portal Condillo Mall, that has a lot of import stuff. They built an annex in the Castellana area. They built it in the bottom of the Soho building, if you know where that is. Crappy building as far as I would never want to live there because it's noisy, and they're doing this. They did this industrial thing where they're showing all the pipes. They just did it because it's cheaper. They call it Soho, and it's supposed to be cool. But anyway, not one of my favorite buildings. But it's a nice spot, and they've got the supermarket. So I haven't even been in that one, so I got to go check it out. So yeah, there's a lot of things happening actually. And in my video again, the getting my glasses, that video, as I'm riding in the taxi going to the place, I focused in on, you'll catch it for, I don't know, 5 seconds, a building construction of that hotel that I talked about that a few people asked me. And I said, no, they're still building it. A place that's overpriced and not all that impressive, but we'll see when it gets built. Let's see. Yes, take the bus between cities, costs very much worth the time. It costs very little actually, but worth the time. Yeah, it's a good way to go for the most part. Most of the buses are pretty nice, pretty comfortable. The big buses, you got the kickback seats so you can sleep, and you got your personal entertainment, and so that's all good. It's rice and beans always make it bigger. Oh yeah. The Les Paul rock. No, it's not. It's an Indonesian version. It's actually quite a good guitar, but all right. Talking about the new supermarket in Dira Kalima called La Matanya. What? One too many in there. And replace Ellie. Oh! No, I didn't even know. You mean in the mall itself? La Catorce, I mentioned in a video, went out of business. And it's a huge space. I'm glad somebody's in there. Maybe later today I'll get a chance. So it's next door. I'll run over there and see what's going on. Maybe that'll be the a whole video where I can do all three of those. The new places, and talk about those. All right. So let's make it official. Asking your questions. Remember, 4 question marks first, then ask the question. Okay. So what do you guys think of these new glasses? Probably nothing to you, but it I don't know how to express what a huge event getting these glasses are. It's been years since I've been able to see things this clearly. And I can even read the chats here without taking my glasses off. It's pretty awesome. All right, we got any where are we at? Why am I not seeing all my live chat? Let's go to that. I'm not seeing all the chats here. Yeah, another reason to hate YouTube. All right, we got best thing about the new glasses, you don't have to strain to read the comments. Absolutely. Can you tie them in a knot? No. What's Alejandra's latest project? I already covered that. What happened here? Your glasses are like mine. Yeah, they're very basic looking, traditional, but if you actually saw them, they have this kind of cool matte finish, and yeah, I know we shouldn't be talking about my glasses. And some of my chat is not coming up here, but I'm getting it over here. Let me look at this one. Loralis, expensive. It depends what you buy. But the thing is, there's things to buy there that you can't get in other supermarkets. And so the way I do this is I'll go to Loralis and I'll buy the things that I can't get elsewhere. And then I might go to Olympica, buy some other things, or I might buy some things on the street. It depends. It depends on what I'm after as to where I will buy it. I don't depend on only one, because it's there are no like Whole Foods where, well, everything's expensive there, but there's no set place if you're living on any kind of a budget. Happy for you, life changing. Thank you. It feels like these were life changing. I don't know. I'm sure I'm overblowing it. Now, why is the chat on the screen coming up so terrible? I can't even read the chat that's on the screen. Can you guys even read that? It looks like it's blown out. Usually we can read that. Something's changed here. Something's weird. I think that used to be in black, and now it's in white. All right, I'll look at that later. What else we got? All right. From Bill, what would you say is the average time to get your cedula? I've been married to a Colombian woman for 12 years, and our marriage was filed with the consulate. Well, to get your cedula, you didn't ask me your visa, so your cedula takes 10 days. It's pretty easy. It might even be quicker, but they tell you 10 days. They probably have it done in 2 or 3. You just go in and, get your picture taken, make the appointment, and then you return, 10 days later and pick it up, sign for it. Now, you got to have your visa to do that. And to get your visa, a month or less. It depends, it depends on the visa you're going after, and, if you've done your homework. If I always use the visa agent, recommend the visa agent in Pereira, because everything is flawless and painless, and I don't have to do anything, and they're way too cheap for what they do. Second question, are you required to stay in the country for a certain amount of time after you get it, or can you leave for a certain time? We want to slow travel the world later. I don't, yes, you are required to be in the country for a certain amount of time. I'm not prepared for this. I tend not to try to remember these things because they can change. Anything to do with visa or taxes, I'm always vague about, even if I know. But on this one, I don't remember. It's nothing unreasonable. For example, if you wanted to go travel for 3 months to Europe or something, I'm sure that would be fine. But just go to the government website or whoever's handling your visa and ask them. They'll be able to tell you. It may depend on what kind of visa you have. And keep in mind that you're getting the way it works for me with a retirement visa is I get my retirement visa, and then after 5 years I can then get my resident visa, and then after a period of time I can opt for a secondary citizenship if I so choose. But the rules for your retirement visa versus your residency visa are going to be different, and it's more liberal with the residency visa. Now, if you're married and you're getting a residency visa off of that marriage, which I believe you can do, then it would be different than what it would be for most people for their first 5 years. So there's a lot of it depends on these topics, which is why I really hesitate to. I'm not here to be a legal expert. I will not talk about taxes really. And with visas, it changes, and there's so many depends. I guess the bottom line is I can't help you except go talk to somebody about your specific situation. And it sounds like you're probably already talking to somebody on that, so go for it. Any echoes with resolution one? No. No, the WHO just announced that they are not dropping the pandemic designation for the world. The only way I can interpret that for Colombia and for a lot of other countries is that whatever place that they're at will probably continue until the World Health Organization rescinds that proclamation. So I think we're stuck with where we're at beyond April. But I don't know because they haven't announced it yet. They probably will say something about it in the next couple of weeks. What hotel would you recommend for a long-term stay, 1 month or more? Depends. It depends on what you want to stay, what you want to pay, what price range you're in. It depends on where you want to be. My guess is if you were coming to Armenia and you wanted to check things out, you might be better served in staying at one hotel in an area, do a lot of walking around, get familiar with that. Maybe the next week, go stay in another area and kind of walk around there, and maybe keep that flexible instead of, paying for a month ahead. You might want to keep that open so that you're not committed for more than a week. You can either extend or move to another one. It's hard to say without knowing all your specifics, but send me an email, tell me what your budget is, and I will, and what you're interested in, and I'll send you some recommendations. Also, keep in mind, I haven't mentioned it in a while, but on the Discord channel for Grand Colombia, I put a list of some good hotels up on that Discord channel. If you go on Discord and ask, I'll point them out to you. I should have said visa as far as leaving the country. I'm not sure what you're asking there. Ask it again in a different form. Thanks for the info. We plan on using the agency and put AD you recommend. Not a single person, I've recommended dozens of people, and not a single person has had anything but rave reviews to give me on that. It's pretty awesome. Disappointed Andromeda. Yeah, it's like, I would love to hear that they've rescinded all requirements, but it's just not happening. Bill, thank you. Thank you. And what is that one? M. Lau. Somebody's got my name tipped. Whoever you are, thank you. I don't even recognize as a regular viewer, but thank you very much. I appreciate it. That one got by me. All right. Any other questions? How are we doing for time? We got time. If you have, if you want me here, I can hang out for another 15 minutes or so. If you hear anything on that, please comment on future coffee time. Excuse me. This is strong water. Absolutely. I looked last night. I looked again this morning to see if there was anything, and all I saw was the statement by the World Health Organization saying that it's actually been. It was kind of interesting. I forget where I was reading this. It led me to go look at WHO's statement. But apparently, they have been lobbied to rescind that by various countries in the world, wanting them to rescind it. Now, I don't know the inner workings, so maybe there's some kind of penalties. I don't know. I don't know how that works, but they're not rescinding it. My EPS is paid up. I'm going for a bike ride later. You didn't even have to pay up your EPS, because as long as there's an official pandemic, you keep your coverage and no one has to pay. Now, I assume that you're going to have to pay some big old lump sum at the end for everything that you didn't pay. Lou's V's agency is the best, very trustworthy. Yeah, that's why I feel safe in recommending her, because she's just been awesome. You know, I've personally had her do some things for me a couple times, and it just doesn't get simpler, you know, and you see all these horror stories, and some people most people are getting retirement, but not all. And I'll send them whether they're getting an investment or whatever, and they get back to me and say, it was perfect, it was flawless, thank you so much for the recommendation. Who knows what's going on with COVID in China now as parts of large cities shut down? Yeah, I think that has more to do with China government shutting them down. I saw some pretty scary things on what's going on and where they're doing it. See, they have this big Communist Party meeting coming up. Even though Xi Jinping, whatever, has declared himself, you know, master of China for lifetime, that can actually get overturned. And I think that has a lot to do with what's going on there. You know, we talk about war crimes. Okay, I forgot to show you this. First, I mentioned Fico Gutierrez that's running for presidency. There's his picture. And yes, his hair is always like that. He reminds me of a daytime soap opera. But anyway, and now let's look at the murdering criminal. And that's him. Now, I would say that photo, you know, that's definitely a murdering criminal, except, you know, I don't want to, I took those photos out of the newspaper. It doesn't, so the snarky look on his face is just luck of the draw. I didn't go cherry picking to get one where he was looking like he's looking down on people with disdain. So, yeah, and maybe the thing that's going on in China is driving the World Health Organization. But, you know, since, which one? The Omicron? There's been a couple variants since then, and nobody's dying from them. When are they going to give up on this? Quit beating the drum. I mean, it's time to get past this. It's time to get over it. A friend came to visit me yesterday, and she's wearing a mask. And I said, "Why are you wearing the mask? You don't have to wear the mask, you know, unless you go to a sporting event or something like that." And she says, "I don't know." She didn't even know that they had rescinded that, and she could go out in public and get in a taxi and go to her local tienda and all those things without a mask. She wasn't even aware of it. So I don't know. It sadly is becoming the new normal. God, there's certain phrases I hate, and that's one of them, but it's kind of becoming that for a lot of people. All right, we got any other questions? Is it time to wrap up? I'm losing subscribers mostly because I'm boring. And all right, so I want to thank all you guys. Bill M. Lau stole my last name, HD Chillin, Juka, and Jennifer, thank you. Fayon, thank you. And everybody else, there's other people that contribute on an ongoing monthly basis, and I definitely appreciate that. Currency Reset, yeah, could be. It could be. That's for my private channel. Somebody said, where is it about the car? It's on my private channel. I explained everything about that first car on that private channel. All you have to do is go there. If you can't find it, go to the website, grandcolumbia.live, and click on contacts, and there's a button there. And you click on that, and it opens up every single thing on this planet that has to do with Grand Columbia, me, on the internet, including my private channel. Or you can search Scene in Colombia on YouTube. Or on Odyssey. It's on Odyssey also. Guards in Klima asking for masks. Yeah, well, if you're going to a mall, they're going to ask you. But if you put it on and you wear it down on your chin, they don't care. Or under your, here. You can put it on. If it's here, they don't care. So obviously, they could care less. They know that it's not serious, but they don't want to lose their job. And so they're told to point it out to people. People put it on, they'll put it under here. And so 3/4 of the people walking around the mall have it on, but it's here. It's such a farce. So if you go to a mall, if you go to a big, like a sporting event, I went into one supermarket and nobody said anything. I did go into Loralis 2 weeks ago when somebody crashed the car for me while I was in there, and they asked me. But then I did the same thing. I put it on and I put it down so I could breathe. And you know, it's like I don't want to cost him his job, but I don't know. It's just a bunch of silliness. Hug to a huge hug. It's not my glasses. To Alejandra, I will pass that along. I thought it was insane in Colombia. Got it. No, it's I can tell you, being against the mask idea for a long time, I mentioned this 2 years ago, that I have personal knowledge. When I was in the military, you know, we spent a lot of time on nuclear, biological, and chemical, NBC training. And we talked at great length about masks. And based on that training and the things that we had to go through, I was absolutely convinced that the kind of masks that are out there to buy are absolutely worthless for a virus. You know, it's like, if they're so good, then why do my glasses fog up? You know, it's ridiculous. So, you know, that's been a bitter pill for me to swallow. It's been a hard thing for me to wrap my head around, and that it continues even after they've actually come out with reports now, the people that were pushing masks, admitting that it really doesn't do any good. I mean, if you were going to send doctors into Africa to attack a spread of Ebola, and you gave them one of these masks or even an N95, do you think they would just keep going? Or would they say, oh no, because it's a virus and you can't protect yourself from a virus can actually get into your eye and infect you that way. You know, it's a wet membrane. So it's absurd. If you want to protect yourself from a virus, then you got to, you know, head to foot protect yourself with no entry and with an oxygen supply. And it's got to be a positive oxygen supply. So it's actually slightly pressured so nothing can come in, even if there's a leak, where it'll push it out. And that's not what people are wearing. So it was just ludicrous. And it's funny that if I said that on YouTube a year and a half ago, this would be actually cut off. Except now you've got all these people that were promoting it, you know, like the CDC and all that, who have now come out and admitted that it was all, you know, pointless. So, all right. That's it. We're going to end it here because I'm just rambling. So, thank you all. Appreciate it. I will be here next week, and I'll hit up those supermarkets and give you the official invitation to visit a farm in Colombia. Ciao.
Yeah.